Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Super Soldier Talk. I'm James Rink. It is June 22nd, 2017. Today I have Adrian, Espinoza, and Anthony Zender with me. And today we're going to discuss various projects, including the Republic of the ACIO, which is not really a project, it's an organization, the Dark Pond Project, and some updates from Anthony Zender. So let me go ahead and give a quick, brief bio. Adrian Espinoza is a psychic medium, intuitive, and he also has access to Skynet databases to get people's files. So that is available for people out there for an extra fee. And Anthony is a Kruger super soldier or super warrior, depending on who you talk to, and he's going to share some of his perspective of the various Nazi timelines. Now, Kruger is a military contractor from a parallel universe in which the Nazis won World War II, and they have been infiltrating this timeline to stop the Zionists from destroying the planet. So they're basically good Nazis, I guess you could say. The whole line between good and bad is a little bit blurred, depending on whose perspective and which timeline you're coming from. So, everybody, beginning with Adrian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, James. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you crystal clear, and thank you for joining us. Also, Anthony, are you there? Yeah, you're welcome.
Here. Hello.
Okay, Anthony, do you want to add anything to that bio?
No, it sounds good.
Okay, great. So, where should we begin? Maybe Anthony, why don't you begin with an update? Because now you've been on here before on this forum, and you shared some amazing experiences with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, President Trump?
You can say it.
Okay, all right. So there was a secret space program meeting in which you were there as one of the security personnel. And he was being debriefed, I guess, on the secret space program and maybe the ETs.
Right.
So, right. So what updates do you have to share with us?
I definitely have a lot of updates. The first update is it was what happened to me around just after we did the show, the last show we did. I was actually approached by Lincoln Clay. And the thing about that was I was told, 2 months prior that, I had a question, for Peter about, if I was going to be approached, by the organization, obviously, that is behind my experience as a super soldier. And he said, yes, you would be. And that was 2 months ago, and he also told me that it would be by Lincoln Clay. And just right after we did the interview, I was just on my daily walk where, I go every day into the forest on the same path. And pretty much when I go along the same way, so they know where you're going, because obviously they're always watching. And I came across a man. He was 6'4", about he was black, and he actually approached me, and he was sitting there watching a baseball game, and I was gonna pass right past him, and then he approached me and he said, "Hey, excuse me." He's like, "Are you that MMA fighter?" And I told him, I'm like, yes, I am an MMA fighter. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I've seen a couple of your fights. They've been good. And we talked about fighting and how I'm fighting for a title coming up pretty soon. And he said he was going to be there. And as I was walking away, he said, by the way, my name is Jay. And that was pretty much a reference to Lincoln Clay, because what you show on your interviews, the pictures of him, that look exactly like him. So that was an experience to me. And obviously, I asked Peter about this, and I asked what was happening behind it, and he said that Lincoln Clay was approaching all the pretty much the top super soldiers and getting ready to thwart off the Project Bluebeam Nazi alien invasion, which I actually have received intel has been actually stopped, and that's update from my end.
Anthony, can you briefly explain to the audience who Rink and Clay is for people who don't know what you're talking about?
Yes, I can. But Rink and Clay was obviously one of the first super soldiers. He was injured and shot in the head, but that was his injury actually allowed him to use 80% of his brain capacity, which in operating advanced technology, that's what it's all about, is brain capacity usage. And he obviously unlocked those dormant parts of his brain and became a super soldier. And he's in charge of all of the corporations that are in charge of the distribution of super soldiers. And he's pretty much a head guy that's in charge of the super soldier, us.
Right. So can you explain why you think Lincoln approached you? Because, based on the conversation, it didn't seem to be very pertinent to anything that had to do with super soldiers. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think it was just kind of like it's always been in my life. It's been a grooming, thing. I've been approached by people in my life. I've seen things, and I think it's all, leading up to something here where, I'm going to be, the end of my contract is coming, and these things are happening at the end of it that are indicating to me that what I think is going to happen for me. And so that's where that is.
All right. Now, Adrian, have you had any contacts of Rink and Clay?
Not personally. I haven't had any experiences with him, but there have been times where, I've seen us on the mission with Rink and Clay. I would probably say the time when me and you were on a mission and we were with Peter, and I wanted to cover that, how I saw, and I'm not quite sure if this was Peter's clone that we saw, but I wanted to share that. And all I remember is him taking off in a helicopter, and I'm quite sure that Rink and Clay was on the mission with us as well. There was a lot of super soldiers there. And it's very interesting because I remember back when Anthony said he had a dream of Donald Trump, and there was times where I've even seen, like, in different timelines where we've been on the mission with Donald Trump, where I saw a bunch of people surrounding a table with Donald Trump, and I'm not quite sure if these were super soldiers, but they look like super soldiers to me. And I know we've been fighting a lot of the Archons lately. I wanted to share that.
All right. Thanks for adding that, Adrian. And I've actually got to meet Rink and Clay as well, but it was outside a grocery store, and he just said hello. So all I could really say is it's him, but based on the information that was relayed to me from other sources, it's not like he gave me his business card and said call me or anything like that. But I get so the question is what exactly is what I want to. I don't want to go so far as saying his agenda. Why is he reaching out to super soldiers? All we can really do is speculate. I guess maybe he wants to. It's not like he's not recruiting you, Anthony, or me, right? Or is he? Is this how it begins?
Yes. Because if you look at the Milab timeline, I believe Melinda Leslie, it's been out there, you see that when you get time travel back, you get reactivated again, and that's the process, and that's what I believe is going on.
All right. So what's the next step in the activation process for the people out there listening? So let's say Rink and Clay appears to them. What's going to happen next?
It would be contact.
But somebody will knock on your door and leave a manila envelope with instructions on where to park, and you go to the
Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just mute your mic.
I can answer that question.
While you take care of that.
The thing is with contact. I did talk to Peter, and because I've always been very. I've always known that something I'm going to be definitely approached. And I asked him about that, and he said that when it happened, I would be surprised. So I believe that would be a landing.
All right. Now, again, to the listeners, Lincoln Clay is supposedly the head of this clone super soldier army. I suppose there are a couple 100 million clone bodies that he's making in preparation for an attack by. I'm a little bit confused if it's either Monarch Solutions or if it's the Nazis or if it's both. Because apparently Monarch Solutions is supposed to do an EMP attack, I guess on the United States or the entire planet, knock out the power grid, and then the Nazis from another parallel universe are supposed to invade, and then they will take out the Cabal and the Zionists and release all the free energy technology. So basically, they think they're going to come and be our saviors, except that then Lincoln Clay and his super soldier armies are going to come out, and next thing you know, there'll be super soldiers roaming about the streets shooting each other. That's what appears to be going on.
That could be one timeline possibility. But we're just in a time where actually anything could happen for this world.
All right, now Adrian, did you? Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Adrian, would you like to share any or add anything to this conversation?
Yeah, I just briefly remember what Peter said about the Nazis taking over, and he was saying that that's something that the ACIO is trying to prevent. And that's actually sounds very accurate. I mean, there's been times where I've seen visions of you as a super soldier, where I've seen you attacking these Nazi, these Nazi people from another parallel reality, which is already happening now. It just hasn't come into this, it hasn't merged into this timeline yet. So it does make sense. I mean, a while back before I saw that vision, I just want to share, I had an experience where, and this may sound kind of funny, but I had an experience where Comic-Con was in my area, and it just brought up that memory where I saw these people dressed up like Nazis. And I called up my dad, and I said, Dad, look, the Nazis have taken over, and they were pointing their guns at my window, and they weren't actually real Nazi people. They were just people dressed up. But it just brought back a flashback memory of what you just said, how the Nazis are going to take over because of Dark Fleet. And I know that Dark Fleet's really pushing hard on that. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. And apparently I also have a clone at Area 51 that has a tattoo. Why don't you explain what you saw? Remember the tattoo? The swastika with the triangle?
Yeah, there was, I think we were looking up in one of your files where I saw a clone of you with a Nazi symbol, and it looks sort of like, almost like Dark Fleet to me. I'm not quite sure what that clone was, but maybe you were part of the Nazi party in that timeline. I know they've cloned you, they've changed you out so many times, and because there were so many repairs, like when they would repair you, you would basically disintegrate some of your clones, so that's why they had to go back and repair you again every time when they would try something new or a different experiment with your clone, from what we saw in the files and all that.
And you also saw something called ARN. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, then we saw another thing called ARN. There was some kind of link. I haven't really looked much into that, but it had some kind of link with the Nazis. The Dark Fleet.
It stands for ARN. Stands for Aryan Reich Nazi Party. It's one of the main political organizations, I assume, in the Nazi timeline,
Yeah.
or maybe it's a corporation. What's your
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's definitely a corporation. Yeah, and it does have a lot to do with the Dark Fleet, and Dark Fleet are I mean they are working with a lot with the Nazis, and the Nazis, we know the Nazis have a base up on the moon, and a lot of them are going to come down in their ships, and I do believe that a lot of them are not going to be just you know aliens or ETs, but a lot of them are going to be Nazis. You know, I do believe that.
All right.
So that's part of those triangle ships, and that's why we saw that triangle tattoo on your clone. You know.
Anthony, you want to add to this conversation?
That's what I'm definitely feeling too, because the triangle ships are definitely them, spraying chemtrails, doing all that stuff, getting ready to act, because they obviously do have the technology to hide themselves in plain sight. But they're there, and once they show themselves, it could definitely get interesting on the planet.
And
Okay.
that's very true.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I just wanted to mention, when I was taken to one of the Milabs, all I remember is seeing those people in those military outfits. Remember, James? And I told you that person had a triangle on his uniform. It looked like a triangle badge. I wasn't quite sure what that meant up until now. Now I actually do know that the Nazis have a huge pull on some of those bases. That Dark Fleet is they're conjuring up a lot of their military, their army, and I do believe it has a lot to do with that triangle, that organization that we're talking about, that you are in. So I do believe that's all part of it. That's all connected. I just wanted to share that.
Right.
I have something to add, like with the black helicopter phenomenon and black triangles, and because the black helicopter phenomenon is the black triangles, because that's what they really are black triangles flying around. The thing is I was asking Peter about who that was, and he told me that was referred to, their special forces group called Strike Group 160, and they're responsible for all the cattle mutilations, all of the abductions, and all of that stuff. But they're able to fly around and appear as whatever they are showing themselves as holographically, but really it is not what it is appearing to be, and it's actually an advanced craft.
Do you know why they are conducting cattle mutilations?
It obviously has to do with their experiments, that they do.
Well, I've heard that they're trying to use the hormones to create clones, like programmable life forms.
That makes sense for their army. You know what I'm saying? For their super soldier army.
That makes sense.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Dark Pawn Project. Now, Adrian, you have the ability to look certain files up in Skynet. Can you explain to the audience members what this particular project is?
Well, the Dark Pawn, it's very interesting because a lot of people tend to always get that file. It's linked in with a lot of different types of dark files. It's linked in with you've got the Umbrella Corporation. It's linked in with the Dark Fleet. It's linked in with the Cabal. They use a lot of different types of rituals when it comes to the Dark Pawn. And they do summon a lot of the Egyptian rituals with the Illuminati. They do a lot of the mostly more Cabal stuff, but I do see a lot of people being connected to the Dark Pawn and the Umbrella corporations. And as you know, we've already talked about the Umbrella, about the zombie apocalypse, and we've talked about why people have so much vampire DNA. I mean, it even goes into a lot of the vampire stuff. You know, it just goes into a lot of dark stuff, and I think that's why they call it dark pond, because it's just like, it's like a dark pond. It's like a pool. It's a pool of different types of dark entities, and they use that along with their rituals, with Monarch, with the Cabal, with you know, the vampire societies. It's a really dark project. And that's basically what you're going to see when you look at Dark Pond. You're going to see a lot of different types of rituals that they've done to people and things like that.
Now, is it PAWN or POND?
PAWN, Dark Pond.
Right. And there was also something called Tiger's, was it Tiger's Paw Project? You remember that one?
Yeah, there was. I can't remember quite what we were saying in that project, but I know. What did your? Can you kind of remember what they said about the tigers? Maybe I can elaborate after that. What that's all about.
Well, there was two different type 2 modes. One was an activation mode where a super soldier would be converted into a Draco, where they would be tasked with infiltrating the Draco for gaining information and spying. And then there's another mode within that would be, I think it's the trigger mode, would get activated, and then at that point the super soldier would self-destruct. And I'm assuming, since these are all clone avatars, that the original host would probably remain in a base or underground.
That's correct. Yeah.
Or a civilian in the public.
Yeah.
So they right. Anyway, so apparently,
and they also have a lot of trained. They also have a lot of trained super soldiers. I just want to add to that with the Tiger Pond project. The Tiger Pond project is sort of like the Dark Pond, but it's more of the light side than it is the dark. But they have been infiltrated. A lot of these projects have, you know, because a lot of the darker super soldiers have taken over a lot of those projects. You know, they've been training them for years, you know, in secrecy.
All right. Can you explain a little bit more what the Republic of the ACIO is, Adrian?
Well, the Republic of the ACIO, from what we've found out, is that when I went in that timeline and we went into that mission and I saw Peter taken off in the helicopter, it was very interesting. And the Republicans are the ones who are over the ACIO. They're like a corporation. And, you know, as we know, the ACIO is full of the Knight Templars. We know that they're part of the White Knights. And some of these, like you said, some of these societies have been infiltrated. We know that. Not everything is not. And we also know that they are basically, they're over that. And they're like a corporation. They're a branch. And so Republic is sort of like if you were to be part of a society and then there's another society that's over them. That's what the Republic would be. Is they're like the controllers. They're the watchers, and they basically watch everything that the ACIO is doing. They're the ones who get this money for the ACIO through those dimensions, and they make all the decisions based on their moves and their projects and things that they're basically doing to help humanity and even stop these EMT attacks, these different attacks that are going on, trying to prevent these Nazis, So not all Republic is bad, but there is different types of Republics that is part of the ACIO. And some of them are even clones. We've even noticed that we saw a clone of Peter, and, and this guy was actually part of the Republic. And I can't remember the name of that person, but Jessica mentioned about his name. So we looked up the name, and he's actually part of the Republic. Do you remember his name, James? Or?
No, I don't have it in my notes in front of me. But
Okay.
I guess he's like the head honcho over this entire organization, it appears. And he's not even in this reality. He's in a different parallel reality.
Yeah, of the Republic. Right. And there
also,
is some like republics that are in other parallel reality. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, you were picking up that he wasn't necessarily the most benevolent figure out there. How would you interpret that?
Well, there was a timeline where I think you and him had, you were on the mission, and I think there was a timeline where we saw that you blew up one of his ships or something like that. And he has been infiltrated by the Dark Pond Society. He's been infiltrated by Monarch Solutions. And that's when, I think, when you blew up his ship, he took an offense to that. And that's one of the reasons why in this timeline that he was after you, because, when you were on the mission, he knows that you are the strongest. He knows you are the fastest. He knows you're very powerful. He knows about Sabretooth. And, and they've actually we've noticed they've been having meetings at Area 51 where they've been trying to prevent some of these EMT attacks and some of the Nazi things that are going on in this timeline. And they're pushing really hard right now, especially right now, they're pushing really hard. But the Republic's trying to stop that from happening. I don't know why, but maybe they have a pull with Monarch Solutions, and they are trying to they're being infiltrated. I mean, they're trying to prevent it, but they're trying to stop them from having these meetings. To prevent it. Like Kruger is a big thing that they're trying to stop right now.
Right. Anthony, do you have anything you want to add to that?
From what I know about the Republic and the societies that are involved with bringing about the Republic, I do know that I'm involved with the Knight Templars and the White Dragon Society and just the Gnostic Illuminati. There's a lot of secret societies that are behind obviously the bringing about of the new Republic on Earth, which I have put, which involves Nessera and the resetting of the finances and the redistribution of wealth and a whole new world order, because that's what the real new world order is, is the Republic, and that is what I know, the White Knights and these positive, groups are, there is a huge fucking battle going on right now, to clear out, the final people of the cabal, and that is going to allow for the new Republic to come in, and obviously Trump is in knowledge of this because there's even pictures of his plane, being, it's a real picture of when the secret government obviously first approached him, and they escorted his plane, and obviously that was where the first contact came in with Trump to brief him and start bringing about what he's doing and just taking everybody out, on his level to bring forth the new Republic and that's what he's really working for. So that's why but obviously people in this world are gonna be on either side right now and not seeing what is really behind going on with his presidency.
Right. Go ahead.
I did have a question for Anthony. Do you feel like maybe the Labyrinth group could be tied in with this Republican or Republic?
I've heard, what I know is the Galactic Federation, is behind it all, and I'm not sure if where the Labyrinth group stands with the Galactic Federation, but that's what I would say to that.
That would make sense. Because we already know that Trump is connected with the Labyrinth group, and we know that James was part of it. So maybe this is a reason why the Republic's so interested in going after, going against James, on the mission, because maybe he took out one of their sources, their source ships, and maybe that's in another timeline where James actually prevented something from happening. That's kind of what I get on a psychic, note. I just wanted to mention that, James.
Right. Not to change the subject here, but I know, Anthony, you wanted to share this article about the a Nazi treasure tranche found in Argentina. 75 objects were found in a collector's home. You want to share? You want to talk a little bit more about that, or?
Yeah, definitely, because this is like the most significant thing I've seen in mass media. It was right up on MSN, and of course, if you're not able to make the connections, you're not going to see the deeper, revealing of what they're showing that for. But when I saw that, I immediately knew. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is the beginning of them showing that, that there is a chance that obviously now we know that Hitler did go to Argentina, and that it was a lie that he committed suicide in the bunker and then the soldiers burned him outside. And that, I believe, is going to be one of the key parts of a disclosure, because then when that is revealed, that what is behind the Nazis and the truth behind the Nazis, that will get the population to start asking questions like, well, okay, why was this hidden, and why was this lied about? And then that will lead more into people starting to understand why the victors trounced the Nazis and didn't want anyone to know anything about them, because they were obviously the ones that, were experimenting with the technology that they were. And that's been the one thing that's kept this world in the consciousness that it is no one knowing that truth. And that's about to come out, obviously.
Yeah. All right. So this
that article is definitely
It's definitely what?
It's a sign to me that disclosure is happening on many different levels, and that's definitely part of it.
Yeah. So, now I will put some images here, and I'll put a link to it, the article, for the viewers.
That's awesome.
But apparently they found a large statue of a Nazi eagle above a swastika, a Nazi hourglass, and a box of harmonicas, which is probably part of the Hitler Youth. They also found what appears to be a magnifying glass used by Hitler, which is why some people were questioning whether Hitler actually died in that bunker. A plaque showing Adolf Hitler, as well as so there were some other statues and some other knife with and they also found like these devices that measure the size of heads. I guess they were all in part of the eugenics program, trying to figure out who is actually in the master race. I guess they figured the head sizes determined that, or somebody maybe came up with that idea along the way. But all right, now, Anthony, was there any other updates you wanted to share to audience members before we move on?
Yeah, there was one more just one more concept and idea, that I wanted to touch upon, because at this time there's a lot of different sources of information out there, and what I'm starting to find out are obviously some of these disclosure groups are compromised, and they're not for full disclosure, and obviously there's a sinister, nefarious kind of agenda, not the full agenda behind full disclosure behind these groups. And I just everybody, you just have to do your own research and come to your own discernment in the end, because you can't. In this topic, you won't be able to really rely on anybody else for your understanding. So those groups are being exposed, and those people in this field, in UFOlogy, and all those in this field they're starting to be exposed, and there are obviously the real light workers, and then there are the false light workers, and that obviously does have to do with service to self and service to others mindset, and those it's becoming clear who is on which side, and I believe that people will be able to start being able to discern the information they're coming across better to come to their truth in this time. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say for that.
Okay, so Adrian says he needs to go. Is that true?
Yeah, I have to pardon myself. I appreciate everything for letting me on, James and Anthony.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just have
why don't you plug in your website for listeners?
Okay. My website is forceversuspower.com, and you can go to my website and you can get your files read. Feel free to go to www.forceversuspower.com. And I want to thank everybody for having me on tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Adrian. And
Thank
Anthony, how can we find out more about you?
I have a book. Actually, I just got it back from the editors, so I'm working on getting that out. It's going to be called Son of the Morning. It's all about my experience in waking up as being a super soldier, Generation 4. And also my Facebook, Anthony Zender. I post up a lot of the stuff I am involved in, and everything I know about disclosure and stuff on that. So that's how I can be seen.
Great. And also, listeners, be sure to visit supersoldiertalk.com to get the latest updates, as well as visit neologicaltech.com to help support the work that I do. Yeah, I guess that's all we have for the agenda today. We should do this roundtable more often. And I just want to encourage the listeners, if you have any questions for any of the guest members, be sure to put them in the comments section, and we can update you when as they become available, or as our guests become available in the future. Any other final comments, Anthony?
Nope, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Actually, I do have one to comment.
Yeah.
In this, there's a light and a dark side, and like all the information that has to do with the dark side obviously has to do with the abuse, the sexual, the rituals, all of the trauma, all of that stuff, and that's the dark side, and then there's a light side which has to do with healing and knowledge and truth, and that's a side too. And the truth is to really bring balance to the sides in your knowledge of both of them, because you can't leave out one or the other in bringing balance to them. So you really have to know both sides. And, I just want to say you can get focused in one area and then get off the other, but to bring balance is the way. So universal equilibrium.
Yeah. Sounds right. Yeah, definitely all of us need to find balance in our lives. All right. Well, until next time, thank you, Anthony. Of course, thank you, Adrian, who's no longer with us. But thank you both, and thank you, listeners. Until next time, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo meditation device. Your Neo meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.